Good afternoon. I get a lot of requests from many people asking me, who is TBLI? What is your work? Tell me your story. Tell us your journey. And I explain it each time, but I thought it might be a little bit more efficient for everyone if I just made a recording of who is TBLI, what is our work, what are we trying to do, why did we start the TBLI circle, and how can we basically help each other. So let me get started over here. Um, we I often say that TBLI is a 25-year an overnight success after 25 years. So I'll try to give you some background of what is TBLI, what background on me, and some kind of drivers, what we're trying to achieve over here, and what is our perception also as it relates to um, ESG and impact investing, of which I've been very outspoken. So, who is the TBLI group? Let's start with what is our big purpose, because we always ask you to tell us what is your big purpose, why are you joining the TBLI circle. So our big purpose is TBLI brings together authentic, committed, professional, passionate professionals, passionate about sustainability. So we bring together authentic, committed professionals, passionate about sustainability to change the financial system so it works for all stakeholders, so that we can restore the social and environmental balance. That is our big purpose. And I hope that you also have a similar big purpose or one that's aligned with that, because that's why I asked you to join the TBLI circle. And that's why we always ask you. So think about that and try to see if we do have alignment with our big purpose. And our core values are very much about authenticity, trust, integrity, care, community, and generosity. That's very important uh, to us. And ultimately, the whys, the what's, the how. The why is TBI wants to make the financial system work for everyone. And what, we're an ESG and impact thought leader. And how we do that is very much through educating and advising. Um, and our event, the TBLI conference, which we've held 40 times over 25 years, which unfortunately we're not going to be doing face to face anymore. And we've converted to a full virtual system, a digital system, was the leading event on learning and networking around ESG and impact investing. So when we started, there was no ecosystem. The word ESG didn't even exist when we started. It just was not there. It was, at the time, SRI, social responsible investing. The PRI didn't exist. Carbon Disclosure Project didn't exist. The word impact investing didn't exist. So all the infrastructure that there is now didn't exist. We had to help build that. Um, and we have this vast network. We have about 50,000 people that get the TBLI weekly, and about 20,000 of those are investment allocators that we engage each time to help in them better understanding what is sustainable investment, why is it relevant, and also why are we so critical of what it has become. And we want to create basically shareholders of a better world, which is why we're hoping that all of you join the TBLI circle and actually engage with each other. So just a brief bio, because everyone said, how did you get started? Where did you go? So basically, I grew up in Brooklyn, middle class Jewish family. My father was a tailor. He made clothes for women. I had lots of odd jobs. I delivered meat for a kosher butcher. I managed a tennis center, I think, when I was in high school. I worked at the post office, which I really enjoyed that job. That was the first encounter um, of what is, engaging people that normally I don't really hang out with, but I really enjoyed that. And the job I really liked the most is I was a cook at the New York City Police Hotel. So the New York City Police Department, they owned a hotel. And at that time, they didn't earn a lot of money. So they got donations and they built a hotel, the New York City Police Recreation Center in near Tannersville, and I worked there as a cook. It doesn't exist anymore. I mean, the cops make a decent living to go to a better place, but it was a lot of fun. Anyway, my dream upon graduating Brooklyn College was to be an actor. That was really what I wanted to do, or an assistant district attorney that was focused exclusively on organized crime. That was, my big idea. Um, and But the idea of 3 years of law school was not that appealing, so I left after I picked up my diploma from Brooklyn College, and I was going to go traveling to Burma, which became Myanmar. I did a lot of things. I worked on kibbutz. I started pillow furniture in Amsterdam. I worked on oil rigs in the North Sea, in Texas, in Iran. Um, and I did that for a couple of years. But it was interesting, but it really wasn't a career choice. But I did see how polluting that process was. It always surprised me that there were not more accidents because so many people who worked there were actually quite incompetent. And then I gravitated to being a publisher. I wanted to be a magazine publisher. I was fascinated by that. And I started the first bicycle magazine called Fiets, which is a noun and a verb in Dutch for bicycle. That magazine I sold for quite a lot of money. And after 40 years, that magazine is still publishing. You can pick it up at any newsstand in the Netherlands. The other magazines that I started were only spiritual successes and great financial disasters, as my wife constantly reminds me. And then when the investors pulled the plug on the management magazine called Source, we started the first European management magazine in 1995 to educate the corporate sector about sustainability. And the investors pulled the plug on that. I still wanted to create an economy based upon well being. And I figured I need to get business on board. And they would do that only if their present strategy was too painful. So I need, how do I pressure point them, acupressure, that the pain is too much for them to continue in their present direction? So I tried to impact pain via one of the three pain points, which were reputation, finance, and personnel. I briefly tried personnel by teaching MBA students about sustainable finance, but nearly none of the students that I was teaching followed my advice. I told them you can change business by doing what Larry David said in Curb Your Enthusiasm: interview the recruiter. Don't join a company that doesn't align with your values, and tell that company why you won't join them, because you have power then. They want you. If you join the company think you're going to change the behavior while you're inside, forget it. It's like, scratching at a safe with a plastic spoon. But very few of the students did that. And they just kind of went along with the strategy consultant that paid well and could cover their student loans. And then I chose finance because at that time, this was 1998, I looked at the top 100 asset owners slash managers who had the money. So, Government Pension Fund of Japan, Allianz, AXA, the Sovereign Fund of Norway was not that big then. And I added up those 100 guys, that CIOs, and I figured, oh, wow, that's a great deal of money that they control. So I just need to convince these 100 guys. There were very few, I think nearly no women CIOs. So it was not a PhD strategy. I just was very pragmatic, being a guy from Brooklyn. And I figured I need to convince those 100 guys or the equivalent in assets. And that was the starting point for TBLI. That was, I need to get access to those 100 CIOs or the equivalent in assets. And because the financial sector is the most predictable group of alpha males you'll ever meet, they all run up the hill and off the cliff at the same time. So the behavioral change was not the challenge. The access was the challenge. So we did 40 international summits with the idea of showing them what is the state of the art of sustainable investment. They meet someone else who has more money or less money than they do that is passionate about that. So this networking and learning would help create an industry and help build the ecosystem, which it did. I mean, it did. I mean, we really did make a difference. It was a very, very good event. I was really very proud of the team. You know, they did a fantastic job. We work with, no resources. Remember, TBLI was started out of the bankruptcy from that management magazine Source, which, as I said, it was a spiritual success, but a financial disaster. So we had no resources, or I had to, you know, do this on, forget about shoestring, flip-flops. And we did that, and each time it grew and it was bigger and better, and we were showered with sponsorship because we were the only one, and we helped build that ecosystem. And then we did it in Asia, in Europe, Latin America, North America, in Bangkok, in Frankfurt, in Paris, in New York, in Chicago, in Buenos Aires. We were hired by the mayor of Buenos Aires, who went on to become the president of Argentina, to help build that ecosystem. And that created this vast, vast, vast network of ESG thought leaders, but also practitioners, service providers, fund managers, academia, and that ultimately led to these 50,000 people that are, getting our TBLI weekly. So that was very, very exciting and fun. We had lots of challenges. I remember some of the challenges we had, of course, were the financial collapse of practically the entire financial system. And we had to get rid of all staff. But before that, I got very ill, and I had to have a open heart surgery to replace a valve. And that was the same time that my wife and son, was very young, were going to Bangkok the next day to organize a conference in Thailand. And because I was ill for a couple of months, I didn't have the resources to pay for the hotel. So my wife got stuck over there in the hotel. We're going to pull the plug on this, unless you pay the bill. And fortunately, a dear friend popped up, and he supported that. Then we had although the tsunami and nuclear disaster in Japan, and lost, I think, 100% of all of our sponsors, and about 70% of all of the attendees from the year before. So that also nearly killed us. So we had lots and lots of challenges. It was kind of quite a roller coaster. But we recovered, and in the last few years, we found a way of keeping the lights on and keep doing the work, because the need for education has never been greater. I mean, as much as everyone talks about sustainable investment, it's really a lot of talk, a lot of chatter. And you're already seeing some of these large institutions like DWS and Goldman Sachs and many others are being confronted with legal claims, and police coming into their office and arresting people because there's a lot of greenwashing. So we help build that ecosystem. We help mobilize lots and lots of money. That's for sure. We definitely had a very strong, and we had a dramatic impact on people's careers. I always say that TBLI had a very big impact on many, many people. Sometimes they decided, I'm in the wrong place. I should not be working for this organization because they don't align with my values, and I need to be working somewhere that that is, inspiring me. So we had that. Then we had lots of other people raising money. It was always a challenge for us. How do we capture the value that's created? Because the financial sector is often not. They're transactional. They're hunters. They're incentivized for short-term behavior. And what we were doing was farming. So trying to teach farming to hunters was quite a challenge. I was very, very happy how we had built this great reputation. We never managed money. We always stayed away from that. So no one could say to us, that Barbara, this is great. You should really do impact. And by the way, give me the money to do it for you. We didn't do that, and obviously that's, the money is in the management, not so much in being a Sherpa or an honest broker. And we're always inspired by one particular person, George Carlin. I don't know if you're familiar with George Carlin, but he was a brilliant comedian who really spoke the radical truth. And that's also what we did. We told people, I'm sorry, but your children are ugly, that you're not really doing very much. And they could complain saying, oh, he's such a pain in the neck, TBLI and his team, but they're authentic. That's why we say I'm an authentic eccentric. um, but that I think it's important to really keep their feet to the fire. And I'm happy that we're an overnight success after 25 years. What I'm not happy about is um, what it has become, what ESG and impact investing has become, and it's basically become a death march in the wrong direction, because they're claiming, the ESG industry is claiming, there's 40 or 53, according to Bloomberg, in a few years, $1 trillion going into ESG. If that was true, why do we have such a big list of problems like climate change, food security, water pollution, air pollution, war, poverty, income inequality? When we started, ESG sounded like a great idea. Using money to change the economic system so the financial system will work for everyone, using money to restore the social balance, the environmental balance. I thought that's a great idea. It's rather simple. So you just need to convince some people with money or control of that. And unfortunately, they chose the lowest common denominator. The Not so much what the company did, but what the company reports. So that's why you have people saying, how is it possible that all the most toxic companies score so well on the Dow Jones Sustainability Index? And, I like PepsiCo, diabetes; Unilever, semi-processed uh, processed food and semi-toxic cosmetics; BP and Shell, CO2 emissions, uh, because it's about the risk and the reporting. It's not about the outcome. We need to go to the outcome. Focus. What is the outcome? That's why we're launching this year the TBLI Better World Prize, and it's going to be an award given to the organization, the company, the framework, the research company that has the best mousetrap. But instead of using the wisdom of a few guys or women who are so-called experts, we have an expert panel, but they're not voting. We have 8 brilliant independent thinkers, and they're just going to ask questions of all of the presenters. So the leading ESG research people, framework people, and we'll do this virtually. And each presenter will get 5 minutes to pitch and say why they're the best. And then we'll capture that and store it in a library, but it'll be a voting library where you'll see the video of the person presenting. You'll see the logo of the company or fund or a fund manager presenting, and you'll have a choice of 1 to 10. And we are now partnering with business schools, service providers, because remember, we have this vast network, um, reaching out to media, and we'll just ask everyone to vote. So we're going to use the wisdom of the crowd, call it a People's Choice Award, but it won't be a small group of so called experts. And because we will have an open source library, anyone can research that. Any fund manager, family office, in high net worth, academia, alumni from a leading business school like Wharton Business School or NYU or INSEAD, they can access it and see, oh, is this what this is? I don't know if I really want to work for these guys. Apart from voting, I don't really that impressed. Their story about it's the best methodology, but I'm not that convinced. So we're going to do that. We did a test, kind of a test before, which was the TBLI Hall of Shame, which was the worst or the best at greenwashing, and the winner was BlackRock, and J.P. Morgan and Deutsche Bank and Goldman, which was really not a surprise. But the system works well, and we'll keep that up, and then probably we'll have, because we'll have so many presenting, we'll probably take the top 3 or 4 and ask them to come back for a 15-minute type TBLI talk. So that's what we want to do, because we don't have the resource to make a better system, because there are lots of brilliant people, some people using AI to analyze what is the company doing. But we can use our hyper efficiency of a small organization and having all of the systems in place, whether it's a TBLI Circle, our Run the World video event, our matchmaking system for matching deals with a kind of a TBLI Capital Connect, which is kind of a dating engine, Tinder for impact investing with a different type of happy ending. So we're going to use all of our experience and network to help highlight the worst and the best, because that's one of the things that a lot of the research providers, they never wanted. They never wanted comparability. So you'll rarely see a conference or an event with the 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 leading measurement systems. They'll all say we're the best. Nobody says I'm the worst. So by having this comparability system and the ability to look at each presentation over a long period of time, so we can't expect everyone to look at 40 or 50 presentations and vote. You'll look at it, you'll come back, you'll look at it again, and things like that. So the idea is to have it as an open source, even when the voting tally is finished, that people can use it as a guide, and hopefully that will push 2 things: push those measurement organizations to realize that their system is not good. It is a death march in the wrong direction, but slower, that you're selling. And that hopefully it will stimulate people in the financial sector to say, do I really want to work here? And what I selling making things worse or better? Because many people who move their money into sustain, they often believe I'm using my money to repair the environmental and social balance. But it's not the way it's done now. The way it's done now is I've got a membership card to a fitness club, and I want you to know I've got this membership card. I'm a member. I signed, but I never go. I never get on the machines to lose weight. That's why I'm a bit fat. But I want you to know I am a member of this, and that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. I do want to show you something that we used to use actually a lot over many, many years to kind of show the mindset of the financial sector. So let me see if I can share my screen with you. It's a very short film, so no panic. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Tab. Window. Let's see if I can do this here. Okay, is that coming up? No, doesn't seem to be working here. Window. What's up? Oh, I see. Hang on one second. Let me try something else here that I can show you on. It seems that it doesn't allow me to Wormwood Bane. Here we go. I were the only one that. Okay, let's see if this will work now. And we try this again. Share screen. Oh, that's weird. Okay, that doesn't seem to be working. You know what I'll do? I'll just play the video and you'll hear it. I will live each day as if I were the only one that mattered.
I will do anything I want to anyone who can stop me.
I will regard each tragedy that befalls my fellow man as an opportunity for personal profit.
I will exploit the weaker and less fortunate. I will remember that war is good for business.
And nice guys finish last.
I will invest with Wormwood Bane.
I will invest with Wormwood Bane.
Wormwood Bane.
Wormwood Bane.
Wormwood Bane, the stock fund for socially irresponsible investors, with performance that outpaces the market year after year. At Wormwood Bane, we invest only in the smartest, meanest, most ruthless businesses in the country. Companies that underpay workers, bust unions, export jobs overseas, use third world child labor, and ignore environmental regulations because they add more short-term dollars to the bottom line. And in the long run, we're all dead. So if your greed is bigger than your conscience, invest your money with Wormwood Bane.
Market savvy.
Socially irresponsible.
We don't give a shit.
That was actually, I mean, it's a parody, obviously, on another fund manager. But in many cases, that was the thinking, when we started. I know a lot of Asians thought when we started 25 years ago that everyone gave us a big hug and, oh, wow, this is great that you're doing this. Thank you so much. It must have been really, really, the Asians all thought it was really easy. And I tell them the story of the Dutch insurance industry. They invited me a little over 20 years ago to give a talk to their members of climate risk. So I'm very pragmatic. I'm from Brooklyn, so you don't make it too complicated. And I said, the Netherlands, it's below sea level. Sea level are going to rise. I would be concerned. So do you know what they said to me? They said to me, it's not a problem for us if sea level rises. We don't cover saltwater damage. So you can get very upset or laugh with, horror. But that was the level of understanding of that individual there. So I had to translate it into the language they understand. So I said, yeah, it's true, but you give mortgages. So if 200,000 homes are underwater, that you've mortgaged, you have a huge problem. You have a huge financial loss. And then that person said, So what we've learned over the 25 years and continue to utilize that is pushing the moral imperative to someone that has a benchmark. You all have a benchmark. I don't care where you're working. You have to do a certain amount of work and deliver that in a certain period of time. If you don't align with those targets, those benchmarks, you're not going to get through. It's really speaking a different language. It's shouting loudly in Mandarin to someone who speaks Finnish. You can speak louder, but they won't get it. So we didn't want to push the moral imperative to someone who doesn't understand what sustainable investment is, because they're not going to get it, because they have a target to reach. If they can achieve their target, their benchmark, and have a social environmental added value that they're given clear instructions about that, you can get behavioral change. But unfortunately, the mistake that many made is they shouted loudly in Mandarin to someone who spoke Finnish. or Finnish to someone who spoke Mandarin and thinking I'll just keep speaking louder and they'll get it. They don't get it. They don't get it. So it's very important to speak the language of the person. Doesn't mean that I'm going to say, oh, it's okay. You want to, sell your pharmaceuticals Sackler family and destroy everybody. That's okay. Go ahead. I'm not saying that. We will say call them out, but you have to show them the risk and opportunity. You have to speak in their language. And fortunately, what we're seeing now, which I predicted that a long time ago, that at a certain point, when the financial sector finally wakes up and realizes that selling ETF bullshit that is not addressing social or environmental inequality and saying that we are, is going to come back to bite them. And it's going to be very challenging, not only to keep the clients, because as the clients start to learn, oh, you mean there's actually opportunities for investment that do restore the social environmental balance? I thought what you were selling me, these ETFs, I was doing that. So you'll get it from the clients, you'll get it from the next gen that are inheriting trillions of dollars in the coming 10 to 25 years. And these next gen millennials, they say, I don't know if it's true, I think they're more interested in using their money to create an environmental social balance. But the most important, which I see already happening, talent. There is a war for talent, and particularly among the financial sector. And at a certain time, if you work in a law firm, or if you worked for the World Economic Forum, or you've worked for a bank or a financial institution or an asset manager, at a certain time, you say, I have a lot of money. I don't really have much purpose. I don't really get much fulfillment in what I'm doing. And I'm out of here. And we noticed that. We did once a retreat at a beautiful castle in Scotland. I don't know if any of you watch the TV show The Crown. So that castle that was used in there, a friend of mine had inherited that, and unfortunately she passed away. And we did it there. And there were 3 women that came who didn't know each other. One was senior head of sustainability of Julius Baer. One was senior person at Partners Group, and before that UBS on impact, and then a senior person at Credit Suisse who was also passionate about impact investing. And they all quit their job before the retreat. They didn't have another job. They didn't quit to go somewhere else and make more money. They left because I'm out of here. I'm done and tired of the press releases that are meaningless. And that's only going to increase. So you see all of the financial institutions trying to steal their teams, and still rewrapping their garbage into a new garbage and saying that this is going to be it. And PwC saying we're going to, or Deloitte or KPMG, I forgot which one, we're going to train 300,000-400,000 people. You're going to end up with keeping the civil servants. You're going to end up with people that can do the bare minimum because they're afraid to leave, and the talent is going out the door. So if you want to keep clients, get clients, and because what is ESG and sustainability about? It's about doing more with less. It's about using fewer resources, fewer energy, fewer water, fewer raw materials, less waste, less pollution, less fines. You spend less money in finding the best and the brightest because they love working for you, and they work really well, and they tell all their friends that this is a great place. So that's only going to increase. That will increase. And it's strange that the conversations we have changed very much, less about why and more about how. We still have some why conversations, and there's still a lot of garbage put out there, and we will continue to say, I'm sorry, but your children are ugly, and try to be the George Carlin of this industry. But most important is what we want from you for those of you that are watching this live or hopefully watching the replay is, to paraphrase Yoda, do or do not. There is no try. I mean, it's, you can do this. You can choose not to work for a company that doesn't align with your values. You can do that. You can do that. There's lots of jobs and opportunities that are purposeful. You should be sharing. That's what the TBLI circle is about. It's about sharing opportunities, sharing community, sharing thought leadership, and building this community, because it's not about having millions. It's about having dedicated people that are passionate about what we're doing. I mean, you remember our big purpose is TBLI brings together authentic, committed, professionals passionate about sustainability. We bring together authentic, committed professionals passionate about sustainability. That's you, whether you like it or not. That's you. At least that's what you told me. To change the financial system so it works for all stakeholders, so that we can restore the social and environmental balance. That's why we started the TBLI Circle. We had this network, but we weren't engaging enough with them. And we were looking, how do we get the network to engage better with each other? Yes, we have the Mixer once a month where you're connected for a 5-minute video chat, and we do weekly master classes, so you learn a bit. But people are looking for their tribe, whether it's the people that are watching this now live, or they're all looking for a tribe, a place that they can call home. Before it was the TV show Cheers, where they would go to the bar, and that was their tribe and their home. But people are looking for purpose. They're looking to engage with the community, and that's what you are. You'll notice that we recently changed the TBLI Circle to be semi-private, meaning if you go to TBLI Circle, you have to answer questions. Now, if you were not invited by any of the members, you can all invite any of your friends or network that you think would get value out of this and that can bring value. You can just share the link with them and they can enter without any issue. For those that don't have that invitation from me or any of the other 700 members I think we have now, then they have to answer certain questions, and we will see, okay, is this real? Is this kosher? Will this person add value? Because it's not about, us filling up your wheelbarrow of information and inspiration and knowledge, and then you just kind of go away and leave no crumbs for anyone else. That's not the purpose of this. If that was the purpose why you joined, then it's probably not the right place for you. The purpose of here is that we collectively, feed each other. I don't know if you've ever heard that story of heaven and hell, and this guy got a chance to look at heaven and hell, and he went to hell, and everybody there had incredible banquet, wonderful food. It was just everything in abundance, food, wine, everything. But there, everyone had taped to their hands very, very, very long forks or spoons. So if they tried to grab food, they couldn't bring it to their face because it was so long, it couldn't get to their face. So it was terrible. So we had all this food, but we couldn't eat it. That was hell. And he went to the next room, which was supposedly heaven, and everybody had the same thing, the same food, piles and piles and food, and everybody was having a good time. Because the difference there is, yes, they had the forks and spoons lashed to their hand, which were also very long, but the difference was they were feeding each other. So that's what I want you guys to do, is feed each other, because there's plenty. So I'm going to end it here. If anyone has a question, I'm happy to answer that, but otherwise I'll just end the live stream and you can watch it. You know, it'll be available for everyone to watch whenever you like. So thank you very much. I hope I covered most of the TBLI story, and we will continue to fight the fight and work to create an economy and a financial sector that works for everybody, not just for a few. So if any questions, no, uh, let me just wave to everybody. Thank you so much for joining. This has been a joy. And I hope this is also an efficient way of kind of getting our message across to you, that you can learn about what we're trying to do, and do engage. And if we can help you in any way, please do. You know, we have Sam and Ricky and Domenico and myself, and so we're really available to help you in any way. But do engage, post things, post an event, say hi to someone. If you see a great article or a job or something, put it there. We did a survey. Seems most of you are interested in the networking, number one, and number two, in knowledge. If you know, if that's true, great. And when we launch the TBLI Better World Prize, so it's tblibwp.org. That's the website. It's just a landing page now, and you can read the story about that. Share that. And when we launch and we start doing the presentations, vote. Don't vote more than once. You suppose you can't, the way we built it, but tell everyone in your network. And all of our events that we have every month, every week, we have a masterclass. Tomorrow, a brilliant masterclass with Maurits Groen, one of the most successful social entrepreneurs who brought Al Gore to the Netherlands about 5 or 6 times, and has found a brilliant solution for agricultural supply chain with large supermarkets. So join us. All members of the TBLI Circle always get a 40% discount, and you can also sign up for one annual fee, which is even less, and you can watch hundreds of hours of past events. So that's a group within there, and you can access all of that. You just sign up, and I'll send that out again. So thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you had fun. And tell your friends. Share the link to join the TBLI Circle. So let's build that community of brilliant people that prefer the heaven room rather than the hell room, that want to share. Thanks a lot. See you soon.